Hello and welcome to the Soko Healing Podcast. Today I'm going to talk about how you're not actually lost and how you're not actually wasting time because there is a divine plan. And I have talked about surrendering and trusting the universe before, but I truly believe that we're tapping into another level of that where we need to kind of find systems that support our daily lifestyle rather than externalizing our dreams and trying to become millionaires overnight or grow on social media instantaneously. Like, if you ask any high fashion designer how long it took to build a legacy brand, it's going to be at least 20 years. And this concept that, oh, I can be hot and successful and everyone will want me overnight. I mean, that's great, but it is delusional in a sense because all great things require a lot of strategy. And especially in wellness as well, people want to quit their addictions overnight. They want to quit, these toxic habits overnight. And I'm just like, it took me 7 years to be this optimized. Like daily effort, biohacking, neuroscience, plant medicine, constant faith, constant prayer, constant cleaning everything. And it's not easy, but I have to tell you, if you have a long term vision, those little steps that you take in the day are fulfilling enough. So I'm all about scheduling and planning and also just sticking to your routine, sticking to your plan. And it might be an art project, it might be a business idea, it might be a wellness routine, it might be just your spiritual ascension journey. Like, not everybody came here to build like a startup. Like, I did not come here to build a startup. I have an art project that almost generates no revenue but creates a huge impact on planet Earth. So that path is not for everyone, and kind of feeling the weight of that, it's not necessary because remember that you control your expectations internally. I do feel that I have high expectations, but I also control them. Therefore, I always exceed my expectations. If you feel that somebody else is controlling your expectations, you will always fail because it's their expectations. But if you have specific guidelines and expectations for yourself, like this week I'm going to, buy my hand soaps, do my meal prep, record one great podcast, write one great blog post, and have a steady stream of content, and then you achieve those goals. This is what I do. And you achieve those goals, then that's all you need to be doing. Like this concept that, oh, I'm competing in a global forum for this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But how are you competing if you haven't actualized yourself and your ideas aren't even that high level and conscious? So I feel that people are so hasty to compete, but they have nothing to compete with. So I'm all about generating value intrinsically and then projecting that value once I feel that I have generated enough value, and also confidence in my work to distribute it among people. And that's why I haven't I haven't really launched a product. I haven't even really launched a course in so many years of doing what I do because I am still generating value. And that value I feel is built through connection and high quality. Like I'm always pushing for the highest quality of everything that I do because it's important for my own confidence level. And until I achieve that confidence level, I will not feel good about releasing it to the world. And that's a really good example of how the creative process works if you want to create something of very high quality and something with legacy. Legacy brands are not built overnight. And honestly, a wellness lifestyle and a spiritual connection to God takes a minimum 10 years. Like, I'm just tapping into what that magical vibration of being close to Jesus Christ and being prayerful and being a master of my work might feel like. It took me a long time. And people see me and they're like, oh, this is like Russian Barbie, works in beauty, wellness, this, artist, this and that. And it's like, it looks like I have a branding agency working for me. And I'm working with galleries, and I'm just like, I'm actually just a girl who works retail and like sits here behind my one MacBook Pro that I purchased 5 years ago doing everything. So I want people to feel that it's possible to create that high level luxury lifestyle and high quality for yourself without investors, without a branding agency, without, a mass following. Like, I'm doing this because this is my highest expression for this moment in time right now. And Yes, it may lead to finances in the future, but what are finances in the future if you don't have quality right now? Focus on high quality in the present moment and high execution in the present moment, whether it's sales or content creation or communication or even your own relationship, your marriage, your family life. If you're trying to build this beautiful retirement home in the future and you feel awful and you don't want to go home right now, what are you really building? You have nothing to build on. Your foundation is not solid. Building a solid, high quality, high level foundation early on will build something that will generate way more exponential revenue in the future. And I wish somebody told me that so I didn't feel as bad when I was like 6 years ago. Like, I had this strange, mystical, like, intuitive brand and like aesthetic, and like the world does not recognize it at all. And I've kind of struggled with that for so long, where I just, didn't fit into that mold of like, oh, long, straight black hair, full of makeup and contour. And then I'm just like, I feel like I'm like a doll from the French times. And like, I was just like transported here. And I live exactly the same way. Like, my friends are kind of also pretty antiquated. Like, we're old souls, we dress really professionally, we speak about philosophy. And having a cup of coffee and having a conversation like this is the juice of life for us. Like, it truly is the essence of life for me. And that's why I create it. Do I feel lazy and sucked into people's negativity all the time? Yes. But I built this brand to stand on strong foundations that are linked to past concepts, religion, faith, and also intellectual understandings, and actually pushing yourself mentally as a human being and not just saying, oh, yeah, I have a mental illness. I'm depressed. I'm lazy, And I don't want to get into that because I do know that people are really mentally struggling. And trust me, I didn't work for 6 months because I just couldn't take it anymore. So this idea that, like, I'm not judging anyone. I've been there. I want people to know that I've been there. Like, I was out of work. I'm totally in debt right now. My salvation is that I did find a job, and I am, extremely organized and on top of everything at all times. But that goes to the fact that that is my salvation. Like, that's really all it is. There's nothing else. It's just systems, structures, and organization. And that's enough. Like, I'm still really happy. Like, I wake up, I do my prayers, I clean my house, I work on my brand, I go to work, I come home, I kind of eat whatever I do, probably yell at the TV screen or whatever, like, vent into the air, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up and I do it again. And there's no secret recipe besides buckling down and working very hard. And also pursuing a certain level of creative vision that will last forever. And if you want to create something that will last forever, you do need spiritual healing, you need energy healing practices, and a certain level of magic. So that's why I created a healing brand that's also creative and artistic. And I think if you look at my feed, you'll see, like, oh my gosh, this girl is like a beauty freak. Like, this girl's probably traveling to Dubai and like buying all this stuff. And I'm like, I do have a luxury lifestyle, that's true, but I built it on my own. And I built it with God's help without relying on a man. Also, actually, I wish I never dated anyone for the last 4 years because it actually took from me instead of giving to me. Like, I actually lost a lot. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of, like, finances. So if you're sitting there and you're a woman or you're a man and you're like, I don't have a family, I don't have love, I don't have romance, like, that's great. You're probably on an artist journey. You're a healer. And there's a lot of value to that. And I know there are a lot of people who kind of, like, are done with dating, are done with marriage, are done with romance because our society does not support that type of love anymore. That type of unconditional love that is, respectful and isn't trying to steal or, seduce somebody else. Like, I'm truly not here for that. Like, my spirit was not built for that, and I've preserved myself throughout all of that. Thank God. And I'm really happy about that because as a woman, you will eventually get to a place where you want that peace, that security, and that comfort in life. And whether a man creates it for you or God creates it for you, you can have it. And I did not have it the last maybe 3 years. It was really tumultuous. I was having like panic all the time. I was depressed. Not necessarily like depressed, but I wasn't myself, because myself is like level 100 ecstatic all the time. And I kind of knew that my real personality shines when I work alone, when I'm independent, and when I'm doing spiritual practices like writing, creating, and researching. I love researching neuroscience. Like, that's a big thing of mine. And then recently, I think I've talked about this in previous episodes, I actually tapped into a very, very high vibration of energy healing and spiritual protection magic. I was totally guided by Jesus Christ and like archangels, and I want people to know that I am totally Christian. Like, I go to church. Like, I have pictures of Jesus all over my room, and people are gonna say, "Oh, you're a heretic. It's blasphemy." I'm like, okay, that's good, but if Jesus was here, he would support my mission. He would support my cause, and that's really important to me. That I have a direct relationship with Jesus, and if he okays it, then I'm pretty much in the clear. So your opinions and judgments are kind of meaningless then. And I've been really working hard on creating spiritual protection for people against witchcraft. And I know America does not want me talking about witchcraft because there are a lot of witches here. I would say 98% of women are witches. And it's been kind of hidden, it's been suppressed. But look at mental health rates in America that have been exponentially growing, especially for young women. That's where I come in. I'm like, hey, I've been there. Listen, I've been there. I totally isolated myself from everybody at around age 20 to 25, 26. So I could figure out witchcraft and how to fight it. And I did. Because I knew that it was not about these young girls' beauty or their potential or what they can offer the world. It was simply an act of violence against the human spirit that God is standing up for now. And I don't think people realize how hard it is being a young woman and how mentally exhausting. Just because we're resilient and stronger than men, most young women, does not mean it is not painful and excruciating, and that women should not be experiencing the suffering. A lot of women who are beautiful and choose independence rather than being behind a man struggle the most, and they hide it the best, and they're also the most resilient. But there's no need to struggle for no reason, and that's kind of how I created my lifestyle. If I can have a beautiful lifestyle where I'm totally independent, everything is clean and perfect, I'm going to do it. Regardless of what society wants, regardless of what men want from me, regardless of what my family wants. Like, people want me to fail. People want me to fail at everything. They want me to throw in the basket, to lay in my bed, to have everything messy, to show up late, to fail at my sales. And guess what? I don't care. I truly do not care what other people want from me, especially how fast I've grown the ranks of power and hierarchy. So when people tell me, oh, like, you should just settle down and get married because you're a woman, I'm like, excuse me? Can't you see that I've been building something very, very different here for a while? And yes, if I do find that man who supports what I've been building here and who I've built, that's great. But if I don't, that's also great. My spiritual connection with Jesus Christ has grown so deeply over the last 6 months, I cannot tell you. Like, I never thought I would be one of those Jesus-loving women because they're usually like American women. I'm not judging, but I just feel like there was a level of disconnection. Like, I didn't feel connected to their message because I felt that they had a perfect life and they were kind of just teaching people from the Bible and trying to, control spaces with righteousness. And I just did not resonate with that. I resonate with a lot of male priests who are diehard, they truly love Jesus and they truly show up every day to do that work. Like, that's kind of how I came back to the church. And honestly, I have to say my meditation teacher could have been basically like a Christian priest. Like, the level of messaging and the vibration of energy I received from him was almost priest-like. So I did have a priest-like figure before coming back to the church, but I also just felt like yoga kind of can become distorted. It can become very distorted, and like opening up energy centers is kind of dangerous, and you can open doors that are meant to be kept closed. So meditation practice without devotion will lead you on a dark path. So if you are meditating, if you are into wellness or mindfulness, having a devotional figure like God, Jesus Christ, or whatever, faith you practice is very, very important to keep you centered and also to keep your mind protected. So what I've actually extracted recently was mental protection. And the highest level of mental protection is through faith. Through faith, your mind can be altered overnight. I've experienced it myself. So I was at a point I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. God, please activate my psychic gifts, my magical abilities. Please give me all this information right now because I truly don't know if I'll make it. And God kind of came in. Like, I started seeing the Holy Spirit everywhere. I was always like a magical child, just like wandering and listening to like weird indie music. Like, I don't know, it's just a part of my personality. But now it was full blown. It was like in my face. I was like experiencing these miracles every single day. Like, I had a rainbow angel in my room. Like what was it, like a month and a half ago? And then I had such like beautiful mystical experiences that I can only attribute to just blind faith. Like, you're either with it or you're not with it. And it is a gamble, it's a risk, but if you're ready to kind of step into faith, I commend your courage and bravery because I know how hard it was. It was not easy for me. I was holding on to my intellect and reason with like a tight fist. I'm smart enough, I can figure it out, I can read 500 books and piece everything together by myself. But I got to a point I was like, if I can just get the answers directly from God, why would I waste my time with all of that? So when you get to that point, you activate a higher level of consciousness through trust and faith in a divine creator. And I started receiving these books that started coming in my field. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant. Like, I would go to Barnes & Noble and I would just randomly pick up the exact book that I needed to heal, like Angel Codes for Abundance or something. And I don't know, the message I really feel that people need to hear right now is not what you've been told your whole life. And I'm not exactly the most grounded spiritual healer and teacher. I'm kind of like on the more ecstatic, transcendental side of things. But I do think that very intelligent people are ready for that. So if you've been a seeker, like a mental seeker for a while, but you're missing the energetic, the somatic sensation of faith and embodiment and like wellness, then you're missing faith. You're missing devotion. Devotion and faith are the only things that will bring you that like high vibration of, transcending the mind. Transcending the mind is basically the concept of all spiritual practices. Like, the mind is annoying. There's no easy way to put it. The mind is super annoying and we have to control it. The best way to control the mind is through faith. And I'm 100% sure of this. Like, I'll die with this one. Like, I'll take this one to the grave. The best way to control the mind is through faith and prayer. Plant medicines help you to heal certain fragments and traumas, but without faith and without devotion, even to nature and God being the creator of nature, you'll never transcend the mind and you'll never control the mind. So I think where people are stuck right now is in faith and having faith in a divine creator that actually knows what's going on, because I didn't know what was going on. I said, I have no clue, but I'm just gonna go with the flow here. I'm gonna try to see what happens. And it was absolutely magical. Like, I was protected. I feel like I went through the darkest phase of my life like a child with like a little flashlight. I was like, it's like walking through everything, going to the coolest church, going to my favorite like drugstore to buy, like Russian drugstore to buy like European creams. And I'm like, this is something that is unique to me. This is nobody else is doing this. And I feel that for a while I had lost my identity. I had lost my personality due to being in a cutthroat industry that doesn't respect people's energies, emotions, and spiritual values at all. And also just being attacked because I'm a healer. Like I chose to be in the direct line of fire for people to not experience the mental suffering that I experienced. So I knew it was a gamble, and I knew it was a risk, and I still took it. And I took it for all of you, for everyone around me, to have that support, that spiritual foundation, and that voice of peace and reason when everything is a mess. Because I am that for myself, and God is also that for me. I do have to say how terrifying it was. Being entire, like, honestly, at some point, Jesus revealed to me the truth of my friends and the truth of the life I was living. And I immediately said, like, I know you're right because I'm depressed. You would not be right if I was happy, if I were happy. Jesus and God are leading you to peace and happiness. So if you're not peaceful and you're not happy, that means you're not doing the right thing. And if you're in that phase where you're not peaceful and you're not happy and you know you're not doing the right thing, it's important to turn directly to God, directly to Jesus Christ, and ask, what is it that I need to remove, release, or leave? And when you ask those questions, you'll find that you already have everything. And you're already perfect, you're abundant, and you are intrinsically peaceful. However, you were surrounded by gatekeepers who are sent to control you and your spiritual gifts, your spiritual power, and your mission here on earth. And I kind of released my gatekeepers, but I was like, oh my gosh, it was even more a mess than I even thought it could be. Like, I thought it was a mess, but it was even more of a mess. Like these people were literally my friends just to control me and take my beauty and power and future timelines from me. Like, almost all of the friends I had in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually liked some of these people, but it just kind of got to a point where I was like, if my life is on the line and my future is on the line and Jesus is giving me this information like little gold cards, like this is the truth, I accepted it. I accepted it and I didn't suffer it. That's the most beautiful thing. I accepted very, very painful truths, but because I was guided by the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, and my archangels, it wasn't painful. It was actually very joyful. So if you're going through like a spiritual awakening of sorts, which we're always going through a spiritual awakening, it's a never-ending process because you never have all the answers, and you're always going back to certain times in your life or certain past lifetimes and healing something. It never ends. It's never going to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. It's never going to be perfect. You're always going to be repeating lessons. You're always going to be going back to the same ideas and trying to fix things. So whatever phase you're in, like now I'm kind of like in the clear. Like somatically I'm processing a lot of stress. Yes, I am. I have like rashes, like I get itchy skin, and those are symptoms of releasing stress. So if you're in that phase of like you're out of the survival and you're starting to just slowly heal your body, and you might be having psychosomatic symptoms like anxiety and panic, just know that it's okay, and turn to God and turn to prayer and faith, and it can actually become a beautiful and joyful, ecstatic experience. So you don't need to suffer that anymore. That's kind of what I've been told by my guides. It's not necessary to suffer it. All you need to do is release it. A lot of you are suffering it. Like, why are you suffering this information? It's past information. It's past selves. Who are you now? Who are you today? And I kind of received this concept in my car the other day. I was like, why am I looking at my past selves, my past iterations, my past creations and identities if I am who I am right now? And why can't I just focus on that and allow that other information to integrate itself and receive the connected wisdom when I need it, like when I'm doing my intuitive practices? So that's another example of blind faith and devotion. I'm going to leave the past selves to God. I'm going to leave the past trauma to God. And I'm going to focus on who I am right now and my daily practices. There is no better and more simplified way to have a spiritual practice. It could be religious, it could be non-religious, it could be spiritual, it could just be Zen mindfulness. Whatever you're doing, that's the recipe. And I think people are still so stuck in the mental chatter, the mental noise of it. The only way to get out of mental chatter is through prayer or through meditation anyways. So why are you focusing on the mental chatter if you could just focus on the meditation? I don't know. That's just kind of how it works for me, because I know I can get stuck like that and like, who cares, F it, like this and this, like going back to my old egos where, I was living in scarcity and I wasn't necessarily happy, but I felt that I had freedom and, this and all these ideas about what it meant to be a free person. It's false freedom. It's false freedom. All these concepts of like partying and having a lot of money, like financial abundance, or having a lot of friends or followers, that's false freedom. Real freedom is not needing anything. Real freedom is not needing any of that to be happy, to be peaceful. And that's kind of what I found. There's like a bird flying as I'm speaking right now. Cool. So basically, freedom is not needing any of those things at all to be happy and to be peaceful. You need one room. You need basic toiletries. You need just some calories throughout the day. Hopefully they're healthy calories. And that's it. That's it. All the other constructions, like, tolls and parking tickets. I have like 7 parking tickets I need to pay right now. It was stressing me out. But then I realized, I sat there and I said like this. If you die with debt, it's okay. So that's a way to confront debt. Like, if you die with debt, it's okay. I think also if you have to file bankruptcy and start fresh again, it's okay. You're still alive. The problem is that we've been programmed to connect the material world to life or death neural circuits that generate anxiety where it does not need to exist. Money does not give me anxiety anymore. Most things don't give me anxiety anymore because it's not life or death. So when you start doing neuroprogramming work and changing your internal connections, you will realize that most things are not worth your anxiety or your nervous system dysregulation. The issue is when there's mind control involved and there are emotional attachments to the external world, i.e. addictions involved. And if you want a shortcut to not having anxiety, understand that your life is not on the line at most times of the day. And there's some type of internal programming that happened, whether external or internal, that force you to connect an external experience to a life or death neural circuit. And then anything that happens out there will trigger a life or death internal nervous system response. So it could be something that sometimes for me, I'm like, oh my God, the sink is dirty. And I'm like, it's life or death. It's not life or death that the sink is dirty, But I know how to detach now. It doesn't really bother me as much anymore. So this idea that anxiety is just neurochemicals and a normal survival response is not. I don't believe that, because I have found complete peace in most situations by altering my neural connections. So you can do it as well. And all you need to do that is to understand the mental concepts and the mental categories and how your brain works. Understanding how your brain and body work are very important to healing anxiety. So I studied the brain and the body, not as in depth as you would think, more from an intuitive side and from a healer perspective, but it truly helped me to unlock why I feel imperfect, why I'm not at peace. And a lot of it was subconscious programming. The subconscious programming of controlling someone's experience or their mind. Where was I going with this? I feel like that was the main thing that was holding me back. Subconscious cultural programming. And programming around finances specifically, and programming around relationships. Those are the two main things where people start to say, like, oh, I haven't accomplished anything because I don't have, I'm not married, or I don't have X amount of income. I'm like, okay, I don't identify with that. That's not a part of who I am, because all of this is part of who I am. This is who I am. That is an external relationships, as much as you love someone, it's still an external aspect to your identity. I wish somebody told me that, because your identity is a concept that you create for yourself to exist individually. Everything else from there, like if I'm dating someone, right? If I'm like married to someone, quote unquote, which I'm not, thank God. Right? That person is external to me. That should not be controlling my psyche, and that should not be controlling my experience. You never want somebody to be controlling your mind, body, and spirit at all, no matter how much you love someone. So that kind of, and honestly, control and influence can start to rub off on each other. Influence is somebody, you may be inviting them into your life, right? You may be inviting someone into your life, and they're slowly injecting you with their ideas, their values, their beliefs, and their energy. Over time, influence can become control, because control is the frequency of influence multiplied over time for the purpose of kind of navigating a relationship or navigating an outcome for your life. So that's why listen to this. This is something I do that's like unique. I always read 4 books at a time so that I have various influences at once. So I'll read different genres, I'll read different authors' voices. I also follow different types of accounts, whether it's fashion, like neuroscience, faith. I'd like to have a lot of influences in my life so I never become stuck. That's kind of how I stay so free, open-minded, and how I've crafted an identity that nobody can take away from me. Like, nobody else is going to be me, because nobody has read the same books, walked the same paths, gone to the same parks, the same malls on the same days as I have. And having a unique individual identity, like you can look at very talented artists, creatives, designers, engineers, even software people. That unique identity is the goal in life. A unique identity that you have crafted for yourself outside of social influences and any type of programming. So if you're on that part of your wellness, mental health journey where you don't know who you are, you have a loss of identity, your intuition is smart enough. Sorry, I'm like choking. Your intuition is smart enough to place certain clues all around your room, all around your social media accounts, to bring you back to who you are. And to place people in your life who will remind you who you are. Like when I was kind of like struggling recently with identity and who I am and what I'm doing here, I started to receive all of these like unique um, people coming into my life. Like people who are just as free, just as open minded as me, who are into healing, who, are on a similar path. And I feel that it's because I asked God to show me who I am and what I'm meant to do, and also to bring me back to who I truly am. So, asking God is a shortcut to actually just figuring everything out. Like, if you want to figure everything out really fast, which is like, I have an addiction to that, I want to figure out everything faster than anyone else. People know that about me. So, I actually just go directly to God. That's what I do. I'm not as smart as people think I am. I'm really not as smart as people think I am, but I am highly, highly, highly intuitive. So I'll just ask God, like in my dreams or in my sleep, I'll say, tomorrow, God, tomorrow I want like a really good morning. I want a gentle morning. I want everything to be clean. I'll light one candle. And then I wake up and everything, the energy is so pure, the energy is beautiful, and I don't need to worry about anything. Everything is taken care of for me. What what other kind of messages do I have for people everywhere, no matter what age or income or whatever you're going through in life? You might be like checking into rehab. You might be getting married. Your relative might be very ill. Whoever you are, I think that God wants you to know how deeply loved you are. And that is a repetitive statement. Oh, you're so loved, you're perfect to God. I'm like, can you imagine living with that understanding of you're perfect to God, but everybody around you hates you 24/7? How difficult that might become for people. Living in a household where your family hates you, or going to a job where you're attacked for doing absolutely nothing to anyone. So I feel that somebody out there needs to hear that you are deeply loved, regardless of how much people hate you. And holding that light up for yourself in your daily life is super difficult. And I try to give people practices and motivation and ideas, but it really takes a certain level of willpower, strength, and self-control. Those are masculine emperor type energies. You have to become the emperor of your life and manage all your resources adequately and efficiently. Without that, you will always be struggling. You might be at the highest spiritual vibration, but if you're not tapped into the emperor, you'll always have subconscious fears. So, as much as I'm like a spiritualist, I'm also a mindset coach. I'm also very heavy on mindset and strategy to release those subconscious fears so you can become even more high vibration. Because it's like I'll get up here like energetically, but then I'm like, shoot, I don't have any money, or I don't know if, my career will work out the way I want it to work out. And those really do limit you to go even higher, to be as certain in your energy as you can be. And it's okay. We're never going to be perfect. I already said this. We're never going to be perfect, but we want to feel as good as possible. And if you want to feel as good as possible, you're going to need to be both the emperor and the high priestess in one. So I struggle with that. I'm mostly the high priestess. I struggle with the material, which is okay. I'm a woman. It's okay. But I'm learning how to be more of the emperor and really control my assets more and control my business connections more and control everything a little bit more. Because for so long in my practice in yoga and in my faith-based practice, it was surrender everything to God, give everything to God. And I'm like, that's great. but I need to buy a house in the future. I need an investment account. I need my health bills to be paid in the future. So, yeah, surrender to God, but also be the emperor, be the strategist, because you cannot live without either of those, right? So if you're feeling imbalanced, ask yourself, am I lacking strategy or mental energy, or am I lacking a feminine energy, gentle flow states and surrender? And if you ask yourself that question, if you're out of alignment, you'll immediately receive a response from your intuition. Like if I'm overdoing things and I'm like hyperfixating, which I have a tendency to do, the answer is gentle flow like energy. If I'm too much in flow and I just got another parking ticket and my bank account is low, you immediately switch over to the emperor. Is there a way to have the emperor and the high priestess working at once? Yes, but it only happens like 3 times per day for me. It's not sustainable. It's a high-powered, enlightened state that I truly cannot sustain for that long, and most people cannot. So that is not the goal. The goal is balance in the present moment. So just playing that card. Is it gentle flow that I'm looking for, or am I looking for strategy? Am I looking for material control? And if you keep playing that way, that's how I play my cards, you'll always win. Because you'll always be balanced and you'll always have a direction to go into. You'll have always, that wasn't even good grammar. You will always have a good direction to go in if you are balanced. And you will always have somewhere to go and place your next card or your next chess piece. And I'm like, what am I even doing with this? Like, what am I recording? What am I creating? What is all of this? And that question, what is all of this, means you're creating great artwork. So that doubt and that fear of I'm wasting time, this and this, that's because you're creating artwork. If you feel like you're wasting time, you're probably creating great art. So that's my other direction. Okay, yes, I might be failing at having a job, but I'm not failing at creating great art. So then I go zigzag. I go this way. I'm creating great art, but my finances aren't good. Good. All right. Next move, career. And then I keep going back and forth until everything's flawless. And that's kind of how I've built everything. Because I didn't have either a good maternal side or a good paternal side in terms of upbringing. So I had to learn early on, if I want to build a name for myself and become something that I enjoy, I'm going to have to learn how to play this way. And playing this way is very fulfilling when you get to age 28. I know a lot of men are struggling with needing that feminine affection, needing that female attention or sensuality, but really they're looking for flow states and spiritual fulfillment. And if we just teach men to seek that spiritual fulfillment over that energy that comes naturally from women, they're going to be a lot more balanced in terms of mental health, and they're also going to be way better partners. And same for women. If we teach women to not be as insecure, codependent, throwing themselves at men, then we will create women who are mentally more stable, less anxiety, less splits in identity, and able to provide for themselves and able to provide and take care of a family and raise a good family. And people are like, oh, you're completely utopian. Like, do you not see how the world is? I'm like, yes, I see how the world is. The world has a huge amount of potential to create successful individuals who stand on their own first. That's my goal. I don't want to see people weak, mentally weak. I don't enjoy seeing people mentally weak as the result of control in relationships and power dynamics that work against them. Like, I've been there and I hated that because I'm an Aries. So I'm like, okay, whatever this is, I'm not doing this. Like, I will go and create my own business. I'll go create, do all of my own paperwork, clean the whole house, and sit there meditating before I deal with somebody like this. So if you're struggling to find mental balance, if you're struggling to find empowerment as your own self, ask that one question, that practice I said. Ask God or ask your intuition, but going direct to God is the best way. Ask, am I missing the emperor or am I missing the high priestess? And whichever one you're missing is the one you're going to have to focus on in the next day, week, month, or year. Right now, I feel that women need to focus on the emperor and men need to focus on the high priestess so that we can find a balance as a society before we can find a balance in our personal lives and also in our relationships. Once we find that balance between emperor and high priestess, I feel that social cultural influences will shift. The whole psychological influence sphere will shift to support men in being independent and women also being independent. I'm not talking about hyper independence and swearing off relationships, which is kind of the direction that people go in. I'm talking about first cultivating independence, productivity, and a good lifestyle for yourself before even trying to date somebody else or build a relationship with someone else. If you don't have that independence and you're kind of leaning too much on someone else, your relationship will fail 9 times out of 10. So that's what I've been doing. I've been building my own independence and my own footing and my own strategies. And I have to say, it's a lot more fulfilling and like I'm happy, honestly, because I know I don't have much. I don't have, a company that's like generating a lot of revenue or, I don't have a family, but I have myself. Like I have this. Like I can just go and post this as myself and I can show up to work as myself and that's enough for me. Because for so long I was taught, oh, you're such a pretty girl. Just wait for the right man. Wait for the right man. And it was all terrible men. And the relationships failed in the end because I was lacking my independence. And I took that as a call to action for me to take back my control. I was letting myself be lacking in independence to attract a certain type of man. So that was my fault. I take full responsibility for that. I'm never doing it again. And when women get to that level, they actually start to attract so many more men because an independent woman is like the sexiest thing on earth. Like it's honestly irresistible. A woman that takes care of everything by herself, loves herself, is healthy, has a clean home, manages everything herself. That's what men want. And women kind of are taught to be a little quieter, be a little less than, don't show that you have money, don't show that you're independent because, men don't want that. I'm like, men absolutely want that. That's exactly what they want, Don't weaken yourself because you'll always attract the wrong man. And that also goes for men. Like, don't, if you're a more feminine leaning man, you're more intuitive. Most women love that. Like most women like that. Don't hide your authentic natural personality to fit some type of social mold that is based on narcissism and failed relationships. Like that's not going to work out because I'm very balanced, I would say. I'm not feminine and I'm not too masculine. I would say I'm very, very balanced. The goal is balanced. Be the emperor and also be the high priestess at once. And you will find that enjoyment just living your life from morning to night. If you can manage to find a lifestyle and build a lifestyle that you enjoy from morning to night, then you have succeeded in life. That is the new frame for success. So I hope that you learned something from this because I honestly feel like I'm just blabbering. Like I don't even know if there's any like real construct here. But sometimes people need those conversations to open their mind up, to open their spirit up. And that's why I created this because I have no outline. I don't know what I'm talking about. I make up the title after I make the video, So I just kind of just go and I do it and I make it. And if you like it, then you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. And that's really just all it is. And that's how this started. And that's just how it's going to be. So if you like my podcast, please subscribe. If you want to follow me for my daily motivation and my like annoying fashion videos, then yes, you should follow me. I am gonna start doing like spiritual protection. Every time I insert a false ad because I actually don't promote anything at all. I'm like really bad at the business side of things. Um, but if you have any spiritual questions, just ask me, and I may potentially have a service to accommodate your needs. I'm gonna leave it at that. And if you enjoyed this podcast, you can send it to your friends. And yeah, that's really it. Thanks for tuning in.